Cyclone Vada moves away from Sri Lanka, 2 killed in Chennai. Severe property damage reported. Cocaine racket places sugar trade at risk. Sugar price may increase. Another shooting in Meteagoda. Police claim a connection with previous triple murder. A money-making venture under the guise of evaluating the skills of students exposed.
ජාවාරමක් නේද කියන තමයි මටත් දැන් නම් හිතෙන්නේ.
ඒක ඔයාට ඒක වචනේ ඒක නම් මම ඒක ඔව් කියලා පිළිගන්නවා.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your primetime news. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Bernadine Jazz Singh. A very good evening to you on to your developing story. Cyclone Vada bore down on Chennai, Tamil Nadu at around 2:20 p.m. today. 2 deaths have been reported as a result of the storm.
The Indian Meteorological Department predicted the wind speeds could reach up to 150 kilometers per hour. Indian media also reported that winds wreaked havoc in 30 villages in addition to Chennai, Kanchipuram, Tirunelveli and Vallipuram. Foreign media also reported that the unfavorable weather conditions prompted the evacuation of 16,000 people. Rescue teams including Navy and Air Force personnel are on high alert in the event the weather conditions worsen. The state government had taken measures to suspend air and train travel before Cyclone Vada reached landfall in Chennai. Foreign media also reported that a number of schools were shut down as a result.
Very severe cyclonic storm Vada over west central and joining southwest Bay of Bengal, and this is the cyclone warning which has been issued by the Indian Met Department. And the first arm of Cyclone Vada has already hit the Chennai coast, and it has been reported that more than 7,000 people have been evacuated so far, and the work is still in process. And wind warning are also being issued by...
Due to this inclement weather, Sri Lankan Airlines flight UL121, which is scheduled to land at 8:55 hours in Chennai, was made it twice to land, but unfortunately it couldn't, so it returned. Accordingly, all the flights were cancelled, and there are around 300 people in port tents are waiting to on board, but even the Sri Lankan manager told me that they are trying to get an extra flight, but they're waiting for a clearance from the authorities. Since the Tamil Nadu government taken all the precaution measures, they have a public holiday today, so all the shops and everything closed. Therefore, nothing adverse situation was reported. Even the Sri Lankan side also, we don't see any problem, but could say it's under control. I wish this needs to get weakened, the storm weather, then the normalcy will be returned maybe tomorrow. So when that clearance is granted, I think the business should commence as usual from tomorrow onward. So we are also monitoring. So I'm also in close touch with the Sri Lankan line here.
While noting that Cyclone Vada will not directly impact weather in the interior of Sri Lanka, the Met Department in Colombo warned, however, that swells may be experienced in the Mannar Bay and in Kankasanture.
The Meteorological Department said that the cyclonic storm was located 390 kilometers northeast off the coast of Kankasanture in the Bay of Bengal. Meanwhile, intermittent strong winds may be experienced around the island. The Met Department added that Cyclone Vada may trigger rainy weather conditions across the western, northwestern, Sabaragamuwa, central and southern provinces and the district of Jaffna. Swells could also be experienced in the seas off the Mannar Bay and the Jaffna Peninsula. The Met Department urges seafaring communities to exercise caution. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan Airlines says that scheduled flights from Katunayake to Chennai will be delayed until 7 a.m. tomorrow owing to cyclonic storm Vada. Sri Lankan Airlines flight UL121 was forced to return to Katunayake as it could not land in Chennai. The duty manager at the airport said that another flight which was bound to Chennai from Dubai was redirected to Sri Lanka as Cyclone Vada was set to make landfall. On to another story that made the headlines tonight. Now, a man was shot to death at the Meteagoda junction in Ambalangoda this morning. DIG Priyantha Jayakodi says the shooting is connected to a triple homicide in the area which occurred a few days ago. Vipul Priyantha was first shot at by an unidentified individual on the 13th of February this year while he was at his fruit shop. Two individuals who arrived at the scene on a motorbike had fled the location after opening fire. The victim miraculously survived. A suspect has been arrested and is currently in remand custody. Vipul Priyantha was shot at for a second time today while he was at his fruit shop. Once again, two unidentified persons who arrived on a motorbike had fled the location after firing shots at him. The police said that Priyantha, who sustained severe injuries, died following admission to hospital. The victim was a 45-year-old father of three. A number of homicides were reported from the Ambalangoda area recently. What is the reason behind it? We have received many reports of homicides from the Ambalangoda and Alpitiya police divisions. We were able to connect the dots between this incident and the murder of three members of the same family, that is the father, mother and child. Investigations have been launched under the supervision of the Superintendent of Police with the help of 3 special police teams. We can confidently state that it is the same gang that is connected to the 2 homicides. The gang and their weapons will be taken into custody by the police swiftly. Is the task of nabbing illegal weapons entrusted with the police? What should the people do in this regard? We are in the post-conflict era. The weapons which were used during the conflict are in circulation. It has been reported that unlicensed shotguns are being regularly handed over. There have also been instances where rifles have been handed over. However, Sri Lanka police is entrusted with the task of stripping people of their weapons, and we would like to request the public to provide the police or the IGP directly with the necessary information. Businessman Maduwage Sarath murdered in Watugedara, Ambalangoda. 2 unidentified men opened fire, killing businessman Halambage Premasiri in Ambalangoda. 4 persons died following a shooting in Mattakulya. Members of an underworld ring flee after firing shots at 2 police officers in Kurunegala. A sub-inspector is killed. 1 person killed and another injured in a shooting in Ankumbura. 1 person killed in a shooting in Pillavatta, Minuwangoda. Triple homicide in Ambalangoda. Father, mother and son shot to death.
The Sugar Importers Association says the trade is facing a severe crisis situation in Sri Lanka, warning that the price of sugar may have to be increased. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Ravikana Nayaka says that due to the smuggling of cocaine with stocks of sugar imported from Brazil, all imports of sugar from that country have been halted in favour of importing sugar from India and Thailand.
National demand in Sri Lanka for sugar is about 480,000 metric tons. A collapse in the local production of sugar has meant that about 90% of this requirement is met by imported sugar. The country consumes about 1,300 metric tons of sugar per day, or about 40,000 tons a month. During the festive season, the demand for sugar increases to about 600,000 tons. However, the sugar manufacturing plants in Hingurana, Palwatta, Sevanagala and Kamtale are inactive. The Sugar Importers Association says that due to the increased costs they are bearing, the price of sugar may increase in the near future.
In the latter half of June, the customs duty was reduced to 25 cents. Due to this benefit, we were able to sell sugar to the public at about 90 or 91 rupees per kilo. The low-priced sugar stocks are depleting during the festive season. The government does not have sugar reserves. Thereby, in the future, we will not be able to sell the sugar we purchase at 103 rupees per kilo for 93 rupees per kilo. There is a cess of 2.5%, so the price will increase by 2 rupees and 15 cents. Thereby, from the 1st of January, sugar purchased at 103 rupees a kilo will be sold at 105 rupees.
When සීනි රුපියල් 105ක් ඉක්මවලා ජනවාරි මාසේ 1 වෙනිදා සිට මිල ඉහළ යාමක් සිදු වෙනවා.
මම දන්නේ කොහෙද බදු වැඩි කරන්නේ කියලා. කවුරුත් වැඩි කරලා නැහැ. ඒ වගේක් අපි දන්න විදිහට වැඩි කරන්නේ නැහැ.
The finance minister is responsible for this. In the global market, sugar could be imported cheaply from Brazil, but due to the cocaine racket, we have pledged that we will not import sugar from Brazil anymore. Thereby, we will have to place orders for January from other countries. We can import from Thailand, but it's about $75 and it's costlier than Brazil. As a result of Brazil being removed as Sri Lanka's main sugar supplier, there is no doubt that other countries will take this opportunity to raise prices. If there is no progress in investigations or the technology is used properly, there will be delays in obtaining clearance. But we cannot allow cocaine to enter the country simply because of the delay. Thereby we have submitted proposals to Sri Lanka Customs in a manner which protects both sides. We will meet with the police, Customs Department and importers to agree on a proper procedure. Since there was no risk of drugs being smuggled in the container, we released the container on the same day within several hours. However, since drugs are being smuggled, we have identified this as a high-risk item and therefore there are delays. It is the duty of customs to prevent drugs from entering the country. While assisting businesses, we hope to have balance in carrying out both duties. We propose that the sugar be packaged in transparent packets and that a tracking device be affixed to the containers. But we have not received a positive response.
Meanwhile, drawing attention to the problems in importing sugar, the All Ceylon Peasants Federation says that in order to prevent the public from being burdened with further taxes, steps must be taken to strengthen local sugar manufacturing.
These two factories have been placed under two ministers. One is under Rishad Badiuddin. The other is under Kabir Hashim. This itself is a joke. The entire country has only 4 factories. How much time has elapsed since the Kantale cane sugar factory was closed? How can you expect more production when the factories are being closed? At a time when the cane sugar industry is being used to produce molasses to manufacture arak, this is a catastrophe. That is not a primary deed. Today, the sugar industry has fallen to a level where priority is given to manufacturing arak and beer. If this continues, in a few years, the sugar factories will stop completely and they will become arak factories.
TV1 News First, main sponsor.
The graduation ceremony of the Defence Services Command and Staff College was held this morning under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. 12 foreign and military officials and 115 local officers received their diplomas from the college, which aims to help military personnel to develop the intellectual attributes necessary to succeed in their future appointments. The awards for the officers who had excelled during the last year were presented by the President. The State Minister of Defence, Ruwan Wijewardena, and a number of distinguished guests attended the event. The country as well as the world is changing rapidly. In addition to the subject of defence, there is a vast and a rapid level of competition that can be seen across the world when it comes to training and technical knowledge in all subjects. When I became the President, my main objectives were to achieve international cooperation through international relationships and friendships, to triumph on the matters of achieving honour for the people, the government and the military of our country when it came to the allegations of human rights violations and the resolutions that were put forward on it. The Pope asked me what I can say about the wars that were raging across the world and about terrorism. Since my answer was going to be a rather long answer, I smiled. His Holiness told me that even though we say that terrorists are fighting these wars, it is the arms manufacturers who are fighting them. If there are no arms manufacturers, there will be no terrorism and there will be no war. That is the solution.
Today marks Miladun-Nabi, or the birthday of the Holy Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad. The state event to commemorate the holiday was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
A commemorative stamp was issued to mark the occasion at the event held at the Gurutalawa public grounds in Balimada, and the Muslim community in the area also presented a memento to the Prime Minister. What has happened today is that while we can govern what is being said on radio, on television and in the media, we cannot govern what is being said on websites. People can showcase any filth or any images they want on social media. They can scold anyone. This is what happens. So the President has taken steps to summon all of them and make clarifications. Let us first look at who they are and whether they can be governed. If we cannot do that, and if their actions are causing problems for the country, then we can enforce the law. No matter how many problems arise, we will not allow a return to the situation that prevailed before the 8th of January 2015.
In spite of the Prime Minister's stance, members of his own cabinet have expressed contradictory views in the recent past.
අපි අමාරුවෙන් ගොඩනගාගත්ත මේ අධිකරණේ
Who is trying to destroy the independent judiciary that we rebuilt with much difficulty? Who is Lanka E-News? Who is Sandharuwan? He was chased out of this country. He is not a journalist. You can pay £100 to Sandharuwan and ask him to sling mud at anyone via Lanka E-News. Who is trying to destroy the independent judiciary that we rebuilt with much difficulty? Who is Lanka E-News? Who is Sandharuwan? He was chased out of this country. He is not a journalist. You can pay £100 to Sandharuwan and ask him to sling mud at anyone via Lanka E-News. Such social media websites are accepted for social justice. If they are going to act in this way, we have to enforce the law. I remind you that we will not allow any action that threatens national security and the lives of our people. Lanka E-News attacked me recently. They had asked me for money. They asked me to pay some money from the Ports Authority and that they would raise my profile. I said I have nothing to give. I can state with responsibility that many businessmen pay this man because he will sling mud at them if they refuse. Politicians and businessmen both make payments to him or he slings mud at them. Convening a media briefing today, the Minister of Ports and Shipping, Arjuna Ranatunga, commented on the strike launched by workers at the Hambantota harbour.
Ada api hadana alut ayatane China samagamath ekka waraya adhikariyek ekka ahuwela api ada aluten hadana
the new organization that we are forming
it
is a government institution, and when they receive jobs from this institution, they will be permanent positions. But given the situation, I do not know if we can be responsible for ensuring that they receive jobs. This is because serious damage has been done. They have cut the CCTV connections, they have cut the electricity, and we do not know what other crimes have been committed inside. We cannot work with such individuals in an organization. Some shipping companies have already withdrawn, saying that they will not come to Hambantota or to Sri Lanka. They are still estimating the damage that these people have caused. If I were to form a company tomorrow, I would certainly not recruit them. This is because while we treat them as youth, they are still political tools.
Meanwhile,
workers at the Magam Ruhunupura port in Hambantota continued their strike for the 6th day today. Monks from the Association of Chief Incumbents of Viharas in Hambantota arrived at the location this morning to bless the strikers. Later, a police team led by the Assistant Superintendent of Police in Hambantota arrived at the scene and requested the demonstrators to remove the barricades they had placed blocking the access road to the port. While the workers had acquiesced to this request, they voiced their protest when an outsider was employed to use a forklift from the port to remove the barricades. Nevertheless, the police intervened to remove the barricades. As the strike and the satyagraha continues, the dock at the harbour remains under the control of the Sri Lanka Navy, while the administrative building and other sections of the port have been secured by police and the Special Task Force.
Welcome back to the news. The Padavia police have received a complaint regarding an institution which is collecting money from students under the guise of holding a literature competition. Newsfirst made inquiries into the story behind the complaint.
The complaint was lodged after a letter was addressed to a number of students from a training centre located at number 377/1 Shantimawata, Kirillawala in Kadawata. Around 2 months ago, my child sent his artwork for an art competition which was taking place at the national level through the school. A letter was sent to my house on the 9th or the 10th saying that my child had won the competition. When I went through the letter, it indicated a need for finances and it was highlighted in red letters. As mentioned in the letter, in order to qualify as a recipient of the certificate, the contenders were requested to enroll for the one-day leadership program commissioned by the Nanasa Skills Development and Training Institute. Students were required to make a payment of 1,500 rupees. It was highlighted in red that the contenders can only obtain the certificate indicating their eligibility only if the entry fee is paid. A footnote in the letter notes that in the event of any attempt to influence the competition and workshop at any level, the student who entered the competition and the school he or she represents could be removed from the competition with immediate effect. We questioned the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Pathaka Kumarasinghe, using a decoy. Mr. Pathaka, when the principal asked the children to submit their designs for the competition, there was no mention of payment. Why is payment being requested now? Sir, we are a private institution. In a private institution, the primary motive is profit. So is this being done with the intention of making a profit? We have received more than 100,000 designs. Stamps alone will cost about 2 million rupees. A private institution need not invest 2 million rupees for such an activity. 1,500 rupees each for 100,000 submissions is a large amount of money. You're correct. Your argument is correct. The letter also says that the certificate will not be given if payment is not made for the workshop. No, it does not say anywhere that the certificate will not be provided. I can say that responsibly. But it says so in the letter my sister was sent. I am somewhere else, I do not have it with me. Sir, is this being done with the approval of the Education Ministry? There is no need for us to get approval. Why should we? It is an all-island student literature competition and you have sent letters to the schools. There is no need for that. We have very valuable lecturers. Sir, who are the lecturers? It does not concern you. Know your limits. Isn't it my right to know who the lecturers are before I send my sister? There is no need. I am beginning to think that this is a racket. If that is the word you want to use, then I accept it. Is that enough?
What will happen to Indo-Sri Lanka relations post-Jayalalitha? Let's take a look.
Last week we saw the demise of an iconic leader, the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu in India, more commonly known as Amma. She is none other than Jayalalitha Jairam. Now, what will India be after the demise of Jayalalitha Jairam? That is a question in everyone's mind. And to discuss that, we have Mr. R K Radhakrishnan, the former Colombo correspondent of the Hindu newspaper and the current associate editor of the Frontline. Welcome to the show, Mr. Radhakrishnan.
Thank you.
Mr. Radhakrishnan, with the passing of Jayalalitha Jairam, will there be a void in state politics in Tamil Nadu as well as national politics in India?
That's what we expected. In fact, we thought that state politics was in for a period of uncertainty because Jayalalitha did not have a second line of leadership. Though Mr. O. Pannirselvam has been Chief Minister at least on 3 different occasions. Now, because of that, we thought that once Jayalalitha passed away, there will be a lot of chaos in the party will actually break up. But events in the past 1 week, ever since she has passed, show that the party is extremely mature and has exhibited a lot of signs of coming together in this crisis and showing to both India and the world that it is not a party to be taken lightly.
Do you think O. Pannirselvam will be able to fill her shoes, or will he do better than her even?
Yeah, I mean, as of now, the 1 week's incidents have shown that he actually is doing better than Jayalalitha. The first thing was, of course, to manage the aftermath of her death because, in Tamil Nadu, like anywhere else, the death of an iconic leader of the stature of Jayalalitha always brings a lot of grief to people. This grief is vented out on the streets, sometimes on buses, sometimes on public property, sometimes on even private property and people. Now, that has been completely avoided. There has been no incident of, any mass organized large-scale violence in Tamil Nadu or any other part of the state, Chennai or any other part of the state. Having said that, we have also seen the way, the dignified manner in which the ministry itself conducted, the way they moved Jayalalitha's body for public viewing, the way they made sure that the burial was next to MGR and all of that, and absolutely no law and order problem. Second thing is the cabinet met 3 days later. They passed a resolution to condone her death. At the same time, they also have given clearance to a slew of project that Jayalalitha was actually sitting on. So actually she's doing much, O. Pannirselvam is doing much better than Jayalalitha.
You said law and order has been maintained following her passing, something that a lot of people expected not to happen. But a lot of media reports in India itself say that her death was suspicious and that there are a lot of requests being made to Prime Minister Narendra Modi that her death be investigated. Your opinion on that?
See, I've written very elaborately on her admission and events leading up to the admission in Frontline. Now, beyond that, yes, there is an element of doubt in a lot of things that happened, mainly because the press releases which were coming up out of the hospital, Apollo hospitals, did not have credibility, because initially they said she was admitted for fever and dehydration, which I think was a very wrong thing to do. But possibly the hospital went by what the government at that point wanted them to do.
And if since she was admitted in September for a period of 70 odd days until her death, no one was allowed to see her, visit her.
Exactly. The problem was that she was in a state where nobody can actually visit her. So that the hospital should have made it very clear that they did not, they failed in their duty, I would say. But I think they were under tremendous pressure from the state government. In fact, during this entire period, as you rightly referred to, 75, 76 days of hospitalization, there have been only 14 press releases, and only towards the end of when her end was almost becoming clear, did Apollo Hospital take the initiative to tell the state government that no, we cannot be playing your game, we have to put out the facts.
With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadine Jazz Singha.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.